Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Lana. I am a specialist orthodontist and orofacial pain specialist as well. I am sure you are wondering why I am teaching about the brain styles, although I am not a neuroscientist or anything like that. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey and why I got into this route. So back in 2014, I was introduced to a lady who was introduced herself as emotional intelligence trainer. And I said the whole story in my EQ course, but I will tell you a brief here, and maybe you can listen to it in the course. So that course was really life-changing for me because it was the first time ever in my life that I was introduced or took a course that is non-dental. And you know, as dentists, we are obsessed with the dental education. So this was the first time ever that I took something called like really soft skills, and I really, really enjoyed it. And from there, I was introduced from one topic to the other. So then I took life coaching courses, and I started with a more scientific one, which was the brain-based coaching. And that was very scientific. So I liked it because it has the structure, and you know, we are scientists, so we kind of like this kind of education. And then that took me to another life coaching one that was more fluffy. And from there, every time I meet, you know, I go to a group, they say you should take that other course. So anyways, related to our topic here, this 6 Seconds company, I have become a trainer with them. And everything, like I started with them as a practitioner, where you take a full weekend course, a week-long course, and then that took me to the journey of emotional intelligence, and then I became assessor with them, and for youth, and for 360, and so on. So what I will share with you today is mostly related to this company, and I have to give you this disclaimer that I'm not related in any way to this company. All what I did was I was trained by them, and I became assessor with them, and I run the assessments through their platform. And I really encourage you to look at their platform because they really have a good mission. They are a US-based, company that is having a mission to have 1 billion people practicing EQ worldwide within, I think, the next 10 to 15 years. So go ahead, and when we finish this, have a browse at their platform. It's full of information, a lot of information. So what they wanted to do is to take the EQ from a solid theory, and they want to put it in a simple language and have it more available to people worldwide. So their most famous thing is the EQ model, the 6 seconds EQ model, and I discussed that model in the EQ course that's also available online. I will tell you where you can find it later on. And they are having 8 competencies, and they are able to be assessed, and you can know your EQ score from those assessments. But this is not our topic for the day. That course is available, and I gave a workshop for it before the Corona time, and it was the EQ for healthcare providers. The objective of my talk today is to take you through the brain brief profile, where we will learn about the different brain style and why it is important to know those. I have to tell you, really, all this knowledge that I took over the years that are related to soft skills have really, really changed my life in the way I am treating my kids, my colleagues, my patients, and even with myself when I am alone thinking about my future or what do I want to do. So I really encourage you to put your foot into this pathway and really invest your knowledge in, and your time to really learn about other things other than dentistry. And then at the end, I have a nice surprise for you. So what do we mean by brain brief profile? So if you want to know the brain style that you have to go through a questionnaire, and that questionnaire will lead to this report. This report will tell us what kind of brain style you have and the different qualities of that and the strengths and the weaknesses that you have with that brain style. And usually it starts with a questionnaire, around 70 questions you go through. And based on that, we get that report. And based on that, you are one of these 8 brain styles. And we will go into details about these. But first, I want to share with you what does it mean? What are these arrows and what are these balls? So the brain style is a picture of how the emotional and rational parts of your brain are working together. And maybe I'm sure you have learned before and heard about the right brain and the left brain and how one of them is more rational and one of them is emotional or creative, or one likes the logic and the other one likes the arts and so on. So this is kind of similar, but in a little different way. So the main 3 elements are the focus, the decision, and the drive. And please, if you have any questions, put them in the box, but I will come later on to the questions as we finish the lecture. So when you get your report, you will have something looks like this. So we will be able to know your different brain qualities. And let's go one by one for those qualities. The first one is the focus, which is this blue ball here. So this will tell us where, depending on where your ball is on the line, how much you are leaning towards noticing more data or more emotional information. So when you are in a situation, do you look more at the data and facts and numbers, or are you more of an emotional side that you look at people's reaction and the feelings and emotions behind it? So of course, people will vary. Some people will be at the extreme of rational, where all they care of is data. They are more data driven and they totally ignore the emotions. And on the other extreme, you will find people who are more into feelings and not too much about data. All what they care for, they are more connected, more human oriented people, and all they care for as what they notice in the scenario is the emotions. And of course, in between, you will find people who are carrying a little bit of both, but more leaning toward one side or the other. So for example, a scientist, of course, they are very rational. They will be more towards the side of rational because all what they do is data. While a guardian, for example, a parent or a counselor or a caregiver would be more into emotions because they care about the human being they are caring for. This is just one example. The second thing we evaluate is the decision. So when you are about to make a decision, what is your brain style likes to do? Does it like to do evaluation of the problem? Like they are more into analysis of the situation as data, or they are more into innovation. They want to innovate something new. They are more risk takers, those innovators. So people usually have trends. Some people are very evaluative. They really have to look at the data and be able to have a reduce of the risk, while others are more innovative entrepreneurs who want to take the risk and they don't mind the danger of that. And of course, like the previous one, people can vary. They are either on the one side of extreme evaluative, so they don't want to take any risk. They rather be in the comfort zone. Like in real example, this person would rather have a job where they are paid a salary and they are not worried about the business problems. While as an innovative, they wouldn't like to be working as a job. They rather be having their own business. So this is an example of why people wanting to do one thing while others want to do something else. And of course, you will find people in the middle where they are a little bit of both. So a strategist, for example, will be a good example of someone who is very analytical. So they are perfectionist They like everything to be perfect, so they keep evaluating and analyzing over and over. While an inventor would be someone who wants to innovate and find new solutions. And then the third one on the scale is the drive, which is what gives you energy. Is it more the practical stuff, the details of the matter, or more of the idealistic long-term vision of the problem? So same thing, you will find people who are either on the both extremes or carry a little bit of both. So if you have a deliverer, meaning someone who likes to deliver results, you will find them more on the practical sides. They like to focus on now. What do I deliver now? What are the results today? So they are more involved into the details and they like that. While an idealistic is someone who pays less attention to the day-to-day work and like to have a vision of the future, and they pay less attention to the details. And of course, there are people in the middle. So a visionary, for example, is someone who have a vision from its name, meaning they look into the future of what is the long-term benefit of that project. So based on that, we have all these 8 different brain styles. So let's take a little look here and more details about each one of them. So let's look at the scientist, for example. So when we do the analysis, the questionnaire, as I said, we get this report. And with this report also, we get a link to a guideline book that will explain in details every brain profile and what the different things in that brain profile. And I really like this explanation because it tells me what are my qualities about my brain style and how people perceive me, and if I am working with someone with that brain style, how I should deal with them. So let's have a look in details. So for example, the scientist. The scientist is someone who is very focused on data, that he misses important clues about emotions. So they are usually data-driven. People would complain about them because they feel they don't have emotions. They are more like robots. All what they care for is data, numbers, and graphs. And people will perceive them as very dry and not warm people. They are not connecting to them. This is what the scientist would look like. And they are not risk takers. They feel that the risk or trying something new is a danger. So usually they could be good as engineers, for example. That brain style can be as engineer. So here, this will tell you different things about it. I just don't want to spend so much time on it in order not to make this presentation very long. But what I like is this part, which is what people do see you at. So for scientists on working with others, what does people think about you? So remember that others can see you as inflexible. So people will feel that this person is very rigid, that they are black and white. They don't have this gray part. And they might seem like, as I said, very robotic, very cold, and they are illogical. And the other thing is that if you have someone who works with you, or like your partner or your parent or someone, when you understand this brain style, it makes it easy for you to learn how to deal with them. So the other part of the report gives you tips for other people working with the scientists. What should they do? And like how you understand better that person. So a scientist needs first to understand. So you need to first explain for them in a logic way. So don't tell them, can't you tell how I am feeling? Because they won't get it. I think many women will clash with their husbands maybe because of that. Because the woman is more emotional and maybe her husband is more scientific brain style. And don't get me wrong, there is no right or wrong brain style. It's different brain styles, different qualities, just like we have different different thumb fingerprint. So everyone is different. It's just about us understanding that other person and being able to deal with them in the best way their brain functions. Once we have this awareness, it will become very easy for us to deal with any brain style. And everyone would be using the strength of their brain style, and the other people will know how to deal with them. So again, if you are working with a scientist, you don't tell them, can't you tell how I'm feeling? Because they don't see it. They don't see the feelings. Feelings is not a language for them. Instead, you need to explain the logic of your feelings. So a woman would say, I am feeling X, Y, and Z because X, Y, and Z has happened. So they will get it. They will get it into numbers, or like this has took that long and this has led to this. This way they will get it as a language. Also, the scientists, they prefer a real world action. So don't talk about vision or abstract values with them, long-term stuff. Remember, they like the short-term stuff. So they like real examples, preferably use with them data, and graphs is best. So that is something what you will get with the that assessment that will tell you what people can think about you and what you have to do if you have a scientist or that brain profile with you. Because many times we might not be aware that people might be perceiving us this way because we don't know. But when we read it like this, and I will tell you my brain profile as it will come and what I learned from it and what I changed because of it, it was very, very powerful for me. The second brain profile is the visionary. And visionary are usually are actually the extreme opposite of scientists. So remember, the scientists, all their balls were on the extreme left. They were rational, analytical, and practical. They were evaluative. Here, the visionary are the opposite. They are emotional, innovative, and idealistic. So they are usually passionate people, transformative, and long-term. So those people are usually very focused on emotions that they miss logical data. So see, when you have the two opposites, there is always deficiency. That's why I'm saying there is no right or wrong. Everyone has their own strengths and weakness, but at the end, I will tell you what is the best way to go about all of this. The visionary always wants to inspire a new future, but they can be impractical because like it's someone who have a vision. I have a vision, for example, someone in the business would say, I have a vision to open 5 different branches, and I have a vision to be the leader in X, Y, and Z industry. But they don't have a mean, they don't have the practicality, they don't have the resources, they are only visionary. So those people will find them as impractical because they are just saying dreams as if they are dreaming. So a visionary might act like a revolutionary or change agent because they are good with this vision and like making a revolution. And as I said, people will see them as impractical, so they need to start to be able to put 1, 2, 3 steps in order to achieve their vision. And they are usually not affected by data. So if you are dealing with a visionary, don't bring them numbers. Numbers will not click to their brain. Numbers doesn't care. They don't care about numbers or graphs. They care more about the connectivity, about the human part of the situation. And then we have the inventor. So those people now have a mix. They are rational, but at the same time innovative and idealistic. So they like to do analysis, but they are at the same time creative. So they are wanting to take risk, and they are open and also long-term. So those people, the inventors, they are obsessed with finding new solutions, and they lose the sight of the human interaction, right? Because their blue part is not on the emotion, it's to the extreme. So those people will be very focused on getting a solution, but they will lose the human part. So people will find them very smart at what they're doing, but they will be disconnected from the team around them. And they are willing to take risk, which is good, unlike the scientists. So they are willing to take risk and experiment because they are inventors. This is what they do. They are usually in the experimenting. but people do see them as unrealistic because their risk-taking is not balanced. They might be taking risk without looking at the consequences of that risk. And if you are dealing with an inventor, they usually love the talk about change and challenge. Don't put them in the same situation for years. They will not cope with that. And I'm sure you, now it comes to your head how many people you have faced who are always on the go and they like to have a change and they are okay to take challenges, while others in your life who are more, always wanting to be in the comfort zone and they are rather not to take any challenge. So if you want to use a good language that will click for them, you can use something like let's try, let's test this or that. Now let's go to the guardian. And I'm sure all of you will identify people around your life who are usually guardians. And of course, they are people we admire a lot, but they are sometimes act as an obstacle in our life. So the guardian is someone very emotional, or they notice or they focus on the emotion, so they care a lot, and they are evaluative, so they evaluate the risk of everything and want to make sure there is low risk, and they are very practical. So the guardian is a protective of the people around them, and they can be perceived as change adverse. They don't like to have any change. So at the extreme, if they are really at the extreme of all of this, they can be perceived as roadblock. So the guardian can be a caregiver or a lifeguard. And I'm sure maybe many of you are thinking now about your parents, because as we grew up, we wanted to explore certain things. Maybe some things were dangerous to our health or to our physical status or to our money or whatever, but our parents were overprotective. And some of them are on the range. Some of them are kind of realistic in their protection, but some others are overprotective, like you can't go out with your friends, they can't come to us, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't eat. They become like, like they really suffocate you. So if they are at that extreme, they are perceived as resistant to anything. Always they are against any change. So in order to work with these people, you need to focus, when you want to convince them of anything, on the human opportunity, on what we will gain out of this change, but has to be based on a gain towards we will make a better connection, because they like connectivity. So that language resonates with them. And they love the details. So if you want to make a change that they feel it's a danger to them or to their people they care for, you have to give them the details why it is safe and how you are taking into consideration all the safety measures, and it will be 1, 2, 3, and we will do this. It's more likely they will accept it more than anyone else that is going and trying to enforce on them that change suddenly because think about, they feel the change is a risk. So you have to really make them comfortable with the change by giving them the details of it. And then we have the strategist, which is someone who is precise, careful, and future-oriented at the same time. So those people will be focused on finding the right solution. But the problem is that they sometimes get stuck because they are very perfectionist. So they know there is a right answer, and they know they want to find that right answer or the right way to do stuff. So they sometimes can get stuck into what we call paralysis by analysis. Sometimes when you want to move on, but you feel you keep looking at the pros and cons of that decision and you never move on, and you get stuck with that because you think you have to get it right 100%. And again, if you look at their red ball here, they are stuck in the evaluation part. They are not willing to take any risk. So they want to make sure it will work 100%. So that's why this 100% will make someone get stuck in this position. So people have to be learning to take a little risk and try, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So their strength is that they are really focused and they will find a solution, but they need to learn how to give a little bit and not be stuck in that position. They are usually motivated by vision and the future. So when you talk to them about a project, bring them into this long-term vision. It will help them click better to the idea rather than the details of it. And then we have the Energizer. And the Energizer is someone who's very creative, he's very committed, dynamic, and energetic and practical. Those people, maybe you know some of your family members or friends who will always say yes to any idea. They will say yes, but you know in your heart, or you know for a fact that they don't have the means to do it. They will say yes, and then they will figure out how later. And I'm sure it comes to your mind, those people who are usually have a lot of energy and fun. They are always on the move, always on the go. Of course, sometimes they can be burnt out, but still they are going. So these will be perfect as party organizers, for example, cheerleaders, helpers. So everyone, that's why I'm saying every brain style will be perfect match for a certain career. So that's why it's important that we know what brain style do we have, what works better for us, because it will be easy for us to perform it without feeling I am putting a lot of energy into that. What people perceive them as is that they are too fast. You know, sometimes if you are someone who's calm and you have someone very, very energetic around you, you will feel that they are very annoying because they are always on the go. They are always wanting to do stuff. They don't think it. They just go ahead and try it because they are at the extreme of being innovative. They are risk takers. So people might perceive them as too fast, jumping into doing stuff, and they under-evaluate the risk. So if you are dealing with an Energizer, don't try to slow them down too much or ask them to be conventional, because they will lose their patience, because they feel like, you know, those people who are very on the go, you can't tell them relax and take it easy and slow down. You have to come to them in a different way that will work with their brain style to make them be able to achieve what they want, but in a practical way with the details that you want. And then the seventh one is the deliverer. And the deliverer is someone who is task-oriented, and they are generative and practical. So if you want something to be done, call the deliverer, because they will figure it out, even if they have to knock over people and break rules on the way, but they will get the job done. You know those people that they will find a way, they will make calls, they will find solutions, they will look up whatever you want, but they at the end they will deliver. So they are rational and practical, but at the same time innovative. So they are a mix of all these three things. That's why they will find a way to bring it over to you. So a deliverer might act like a problem solver or warrior, but what the advice we give to those deliverers is be more patient. Not everything is urgent. Yani don't make it a lifestyle that everything has to be done. So because it becomes, when we practice our brain style so much, it becomes our personality, and then becomes everything is urgent, and then everything is about delivering and achieving. And those people usually are not good with feelings. So they don't like to hear about feelings because they are practical, they want to deliver. So advice for them, as per the report, would be talk about feelings. Feelings is data, is information, but we have been taught that emotions are something bad, and I discussed that in details in the EQ course. And if you are dealing with a deliverer, talk to them only when you need help, not when you want someone to listen, because the deliverer always wants to find a solution. So again, as an example of real life, where a husband and wife, so the woman usually would want someone to talk to. She wants someone to vent her day and what happened. And usually the men are more deliverer. They want to find a solution for you. So she wants someone to listen, and for him, he's in his head, he's not giving her what she wants as, like, you know, empathy and being very eye connection with her, or giving her that, language of emotions. And he is only thinking in his head, how can I find you a solution? So if you are someone who wants someone to listen to you, don't talk to the deliverer about it, because all what he will do is to find you a solution. So see, when you understand those brain profiles, you avoid all these clashes that you have with your partners or your co-workers or even your kids, because you know that this is their brain style. And finally is the sage. And the sage is someone who's caring, protective, and lofty, meaning they are usually concerned with the people and the big picture at the extreme, if they are at that extreme. And the sage is full of impractical advice. So they usually have a big answer, but without a way forward, kind of similar to the visionary. So sages, they care about the big questions, such as life meanings, and may prefer to contemplate rather than act. So they will be thinking about life purpose and how to do it, but they don't have any practical steps into living it. So the sage might act like a protector, a counselor, or a dreamer. But people will perceive them as impractical because they don't take any risks, because they don't put any step-by-step way to move forward. So if you are dealing with a sage, they usually like stories and big pictures. Don't give them data and details about any project that you have. And let me tell you that when I took this long time ago, I was the sage. And I thought that's good, like sage is wisdom. And then when I read through the different ones, I realized that yes, I am always about life meanings, life purpose, but I wasn't doing anything in practical. I wasn't taking any steps. It was all theory. It was all very nice image in my head, but I wasn't taking any steps. And when I reflected on that very well, I learned that I should start to take this vision and put it into actions, into a measurable step-by-step projects in order to live that vision that I had. So it has really made a huge effect on me. And the best part of it, there is another report that can be generated out of that same assessment if you do it to a group. So when we are asked to do teamwork, how many people don't like to do teamwork and they rather work alone? Even I hear it from my kids at school. They say, oh, we don't like to be paired with our other people, because when we are paired, this girl will do it, this will delay, and this is just, whatever. When I learned about these things, I understood why these clashes can happen in teams if we don't understand the different brain styles we are sharing as a team. So what this report is about is you do the assessment for the group. So let's say here we have 18 people. And first of all, it will give you what's the EQ score as a group, as 18 people. And then it will tell you how distributed you are as a group. So what is the EQ score in that group? And how far you are, or tight or wide in your brain profiles. So for example, this will tell us that there are 10 of them are more rational and 8 are more emotional, 9 by 9 into the decision making, and 6 are practical and 12 are idealistic. Imagine. So you can imagine what this group will be doing. So this group is very balanced here, but they are more into visionary, into the long term. And only 6 people are wanting to do quickly the work and deliver. So those people who are deliverers will clash with the visionary, because the visionary are taking their time. They feel like, what is the rush? What is the worry? We have a vision for it. And the practical ones want to now, what do we do the next step? You take this part and I do take this part. And they are very, tight on time, and they are very analytical and practical into the details. So those people will clash. When we understand that we have different brain styles, we actually can use that information to give everyone what is good for their brain style. So if you are practical, take these tasks because they will suit you. And if you are idealistic, we will give you these tasks because this will help you. So let's say a big company, the practical one, let them do the day-to-day stuff, and the idealistic will do the vision for the company and how we move it forward and how we make branches, etc., etc. So when we understand those differences, it will become we complete each other rather than we compete with each other. And really, even if you don't do the assessment, only by listening to this, it will broaden your awareness that now I understand that people are different. That by itself is, and it's common sense, of course, that people are different. But for some reason, we don't like differences. For us, it's a threat. It's more work. Why do I have to deal with people different than me? Although if you start to look at it from a different perspective, you will start to enjoy it. Really, and after I took these courses and I worked with many people outside, of course, of the dentistry world in these courses, I'm mostly, 99%, I am dealing with non-dental community. And when I see those differences between people, I'm starting to really love the differences because it teaches me something new. Why do I want to, as I said in the EQ course, I said, do you rather eat strawberries every day, or would you rather have a plate that has different types of fruits? Of course, after some time, we don't want to keep eating strawberries every day. We rather have a plate that is different, have different things that we can experience, the banana and the orange and the strawberry and etc. So think about it like that. Like, people are different because they bring nice different qualities that will add to the bigger picture. And of course, that assessment will give the brain talents. And this is something else, it's not time for it, which will tell you which apps in your brain, they make it like an apps that are more always open and running in the background, and will tell the performance of the group about their health and achievement. And for example, relationship, look at this group, 88%, like very below, because they are not able to work their differences. So once they know, they will be able to handle their differences better. So that assessment, if you would like to request that assessment, as I said, you can either go to the 6 seconds or you can go to our platform at iDental Academy. And let me take you in a little tour here. So you go to identalacademy.com and you go to the courses, you scroll down and you find this icon called EQ assessment. In the EQ assessment, when you press on it, it will take you to the page where you can read more about the brain profile or even the leadership report, which is the more extensive one and big one. But what I am talking about today is this one, which is what we discussed so far. Then the other thing is the EQ course, which I gave right before the Corona thing has started, and I gave a workshop that was beautiful with a nice group of people. And because of all their requests to really record it, so I made it available and I put it as a course in the academy as well. It's around 3.5 hours where I go through the different competencies of the EQ model by 6 seconds, and you can also order it from there. And as I said, there is a surprise where we are giving today 30% off on all these courses. So if you use the code SMILE30, it is you can avail 30% discount on any of these 2 courses, and it can be used more than once. So for example, if you want to see you and your partner, your husband, your parent, it will be nice to have a group, because then you compare, yeah, see, this is why my brain style is like that and your brain style is like that. So I learn from now on how to deal with each other based on that. So what you will get once you buy that is you will get within 24 hours a link from 6 Seconds Company with the 70 questions with that assessment. I recommend that you take it when you are relaxed and you are in good mood. Usually it takes 15 to 20 minutes to finish it, or sometimes less. It can be taken in both Arabic and English, and that even assessment of the brain can also be given in Arabic and English. And then once you finish, they will send me the report, So I will get something like this. And based on that, also with it, you will get the Brain Brief Interpretation Guide, which is a 23 pages booklet that goes through the different details of every brain style based on what you got. And to conclude, I want to tell you that, as I said, there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. What we want at the end of the day is balance. So if you find yourself taking an extreme when you take the assessment, if your brain is to the extreme of one way or another, you know that this might be giving you an imbalance in that area. So the best way is for us to be balanced and all our balls to be in the middle. Because when we are in the middle, it makes us rational, but at the same time emotional, meaning we value data, but we also take the data of emotions of the people around us. When our decision is in the middle, we are evaluative of the risk, but we are also willing to take risk in order to move forward. We don't want to be stuck. And finally, our drive would be in between practical and visionary or idealistic, where we also look at the big picture and also at the details of everything. And with that, also, you get 10 minutes debrief with me, where I will contact you if you still have any questions about your brain brief, where I can take you and coach you through your brain brief if you still have any questions. And with that, I will conclude. Thank you so much for your time. And you can contact me if you have any questions at my email, or of course, you can find me on Instagram, as you know. Thank you so much, and let me see if you have any questions. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, Rahaf, I can see that your hand is raised, so you can go ahead and type if you like in the questions. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. I hope you find it useful. What were the disadvantages of being sage? That I wasn't a risk taker. Remember, the sage was someone who is very evaluative. They are not innovative. So I was good in vision and in emotions, but I was very stuck. I didn't move forward because I was always wanting it to be perfectly right in my analysis, in my pros and cons before I move forward. I don't want to take any risk. That's why this was the disadvantage of being the sage. But then I changed. That's why you see some of me coming out to the public. I started to put stuff out there. I started to live my vision. My vision is to be useful to the community. I mean, I have to do how to be useful to the community. It cannot be just by saying or imagining how my usefulness will be, you know? So this was about the sage. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lamia. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Majd. Thank you for the great presentation. Yes, inshallah, I'll keep coming. Rahaf, what does the balloon size in the brain brief refer to? I noticed they change in size in different sample reports you presented. Perfect, very good question. Very good question. Let me go back, actually. Exactly. Very good pointing out. So the size of this balloon or ball depends on what first drives you, what first comes in your head. Are you more of a feeler? Remember there is a triangle in the EQ course that talks about think, act, feel. Think, act, feel. So depending on whether your feel is more strong. So let me ask you this. In a certain situation, do you feel first, or do you think first, or do you act first? Bring Hiki a scenario in your head and think about it. Like, do you first think? Like if some situation happened, do you feel something and then you act? Or do you think something and then you feel and then you act? Or do you just act maybe without even thinking or feeling? So this will tell me about this, like what is the strongest for you? Is the drive, is what gives you energy is more strong for you? Or is it the decision, or like how you think? Or is it how you feel, the focus? Is it emotional or rational? So this circle size will tell me where is first your strongest talent or your strongest brain style qualities. I hope that answered your question. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Okay, thank you so much everyone for your time. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you inshallah in the very near future where we talk about more stuff. Please let me know what worked for you and what I can help you with. What other topics would you like me to talk about? As I said, I learned a lot about those soft skills, and there's a lot to share. And inshallah, in the near future, I will be sharing more stuff with you. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.